In the world of foreign currency investment, rumors often come and go. But every now and then, one rumor is so powerful, so shocking, that it sends ripples across the global financial community. That's exactly what happened this week as reports began to surface of a potential Iraqi dinar float at $4.25. This figure is far above the expectations of even the most optimistic investors, many of whom predicted a starting rate much lower. The idea of a float beginning at such a strong level has triggered massive discussions among traders, banking insiders, and everyday holders of IQD notes. Social media platforms, Forex chat rooms, and Telegram groups are buzzing. The words for $.25 float are being repeated thousands of times, creating an atmosphere of both excitement and disbelief. Could it really be happening? Is this the breakthrough moment investors have been waiting more than a decade to see? Let's pause and understand why this specific number matters so much. A float means the currency's value is not fixed but allowed to rise or fall according to market forces. If the dinar enters the float system at $4.25, it immediately places it among the strongest global currencies. For perspective, the US dollar currently trades at 1-to-1. The euro floats slightly above, and the British pound is known for its strength at around $1.25, $1.30. If Iraq's dinar enters at $4.25, it surpasses them all, creating a financial earthquake. Why is this significant? It boosts Iraq's international purchasing power. It allows foreign investors and banks to take Iraq seriously as a rising economic giant. And most importantly, it transforms the lives of investors who have been holding on to IQD for years, sometimes decades, waiting for this very moment. If you want to know how powerful this rumor is, just look at the reaction of investors. Within hours of the news spreading, online communities were filled with screenshots, discussions, and emotional testimonies. Some investors expressed overwhelming joy, claiming this was the validation of their faith after years of doubt. Others, however, urged caution, reminding the community that until an official confirmation comes from the CBI IMF or major banks, it remains speculation. But one thing is certain. The rumor has breathed new life into the dinar community. People who had almost given up hope are now re-energized. Even those who sold their notes years ago are watching with regret as this story unfolds. The investor community is alive again, fueled by the possibility that this could be the biggest financial event of the decade. When discussing a $4.25 float for the Iraqi dinar, the most important question investors and analysts ask is, can Iraq's economy really support such a bold move? On the surface, the idea seems ambitious, but there are real arguments, both for and against, why supporters believe $4.25 is possible oil wealth. Iraq has the 5th largest proven oil reserves in the world. With global demand for oil still high in 2025, Iraq has steady revenue streams that can back a stronger currency. Every barrel of oil sold in US dollars adds to Iraq's foreign reserves, strengthening the country's financial backbone. Foreign reserves. The Central Bank of Iraq has steadily built up its foreign currency reserves, reportedly reaching record highs. These reserves act as a cushion, helping Iraq defend its currency in global markets if needed. Economic reforms. Over the past few years, Iraq has implemented reforms aimed at stabilizing banking operations, digitizing transactions, and strengthening partnerships with international financial institutions like the IMF and World Bank. These steps increase investor confidence, regional trade power. Iraq is no longer an isolated market. Its trade with neighboring countries like Turkey, Jordan, Iran, and Gulf nations has expanded significantly. A strong currency would give Iraq more leverage in these deals. On the other side, critics argue that such a high float could bring serious risks. Inflation concerns. A sudden rise in the dinar's value might cause domestic inflationary shocks. Goods priced cheaply inside Iraq could suddenly become expensive relative to the new exchange rate, creating instability. Banking readiness. Iraq's banking sector, though improving, still faces challenges with modernization and global integration. Managing international transactions at such a high rate requires robust systems that Iraq may not fully have yet. Global balance. Skeptics believe that a float at $4.25 would shake Forex markets to suddenly. They argue that international regulators, like the IMF, may prefer a gradual float starting lower to avoid global disruption. Political stability. Economic strength depends on political stability, and Iraq has faced turbulence in governance. Critics question whether the government can maintain long-term stability to support such a strong currency move. 10 years ago, such speculation would have been laughed at. Today, analysts are debating it with seriousness. That's proof of just how far Iraq has come, and how close investors might be to witnessing history. The idea of the Iraqi dinar floating at $4.25 is not just an Iraqi story, it's a global event. Currency markets are highly interconnected, and any sudden shock in one region creates waves that ripple worldwide. If this rumor were to come true, the impact would be historic. The foreign exchange Forex market is the largest and most liquid financial system in the world, with over $7 trillion traded daily. A dinar float at $4.25 would instantly re-rank Iraq among the strongest currencies in circulation, placing it above the euro, pound, and even close to the Kuwaiti dinar. Traders would rush to rebalance their portfolios. Speculative investors could pour billions into Iraq, fueling further volatility. Currencies of Iraq's trading partners like Turkey, Jordan, and Iran might experience sudden pressure as their imports and exports adjust to the new value. Because Iraq sells its oil in US dollars, a stronger dinar could lead to complex oil pricing dynamics. If Iraq earns more per barrel in dinar terms, it could shift how contracts are structured in the future. Some analysts even suggest this might strengthen calls for oil to be priced in multiple currencies rather than only the US dollar. That would be a monumental shift in global economics. The rumor also suggests that major U.S. banks like Chase and Bank of America are monitoring Iraq closely. If true, and if they actively support dinar transactions at a higher float, this could create massive liquidity movements in U.S. financial markets, push global investors to diversify away from the dollar, lead to greater scrutiny from the U.S. Treasury and Federal Reserve, since a strong dinar could impact dollar dominance. Perhaps the most underestimated repercussion is psychology. The financial world thrives on confidence and speculation. If Iraq successfully launches a float at $4.25, it could inspire renewed interest in emerging markets. Investors may look at other undervalued currencies or economies. Geopolitical countries may seek closer partnerships with Iraq for both trade and investment. Speculative bubbles. History shows that when one market suddenly delivers massive gains, others chase the next one, often creating risky conditions. While some celebrate the idea, others warn that such a sudden shift could create global imbalances. Developing economies might struggle to adjust. Central banks worldwide would have to react quickly, possibly with interest rate changes to protect their currencies. If mismanaged, it could trigger currency wars, where nations compete to devalue or strengthen their money to stay competitive. The world is watching Iraq not just because of oil, but because of what its currency now represents. The potential to rewrite economic power balances, whether the $4.25 float becomes reality or not. The rumor itself has already put Iraq at the center of global financial attention. The $4.25 Iraqi Dinar float rumor has created one of the biggest conversations in global finance for 2025. Whether you're a small investor, a global banker, or just someone curious about world economics, this potential revaluation is impossible to ignore. Iraq is rumored to float the IQD at $4.25, a level that would instantly shock the global currency market. Investors worldwide are watching closely, with speculation spilling over into the Vietnamese Dong VND and other emerging currencies. The global financial system, from Forex traders to central banks, would feel ripple effects if this rumor proves true. Oil pricing, U.S. banks' involvement, and Asia's trade balance all stand to be for many holding to 5K or 10K dinar notes. This is more than numbers on paper. It's about the dream of financial freedom, the possibility that years of patience may finally pay off. The buzz has rekindled optimism in the dinar community, reminding everyone why they held on through uncertainty. This is not just about Iraq or a currency flip. It's about the shifting balance of power in global economics. A strong Iraqi dinar could symbolize Iraq's emergence as a financial player. The potential end of decades of instability. A broader message that nations once overlooked can rise again. At the same time, it's important to stay grounded. Until official confirmation, this remains a rumor. Currencies can be volatile, and markets can turn quickly. Smart investors weigh both the opportunity and the risk before making decisions. Whether or not the $4.25 float rumor proves real, one thing is certain. The Iraqi dinar has captured the world's imagination. It has reignited discussions about wealth, opportunity, and the changing tides of global economics. For investors, this is a reminder to stay informed, stay patient, and stay ready. Because history has shown time and again the biggest financial shifts happen when the world least expects them. 2025 could very well be the year that the dinar story transforms from speculation to reality.